I'm going to apologize on every single one of these videos.
Why?
Apologies for my strange look. I don't know who I want it to be for
Where's
Halloween.
Negan?
He knows who he wants to be for Halloween. Me,
My name's Rick Grimes. I've got 3 questions for you. Have you killed any dead? Have you killed any living? Why? He's Pootie Tang.
I like to think I tried to be Pootie Tang, and then what came out was...
Put it on a 10 line.
Yikes. I'm a suburban dude. I'm not Kodak anymore. I'm a suburban dude.
I'm not a project baby anymore. I'm a suburbs kid. I'm a suburban. I'm a suburban dude.
Anyway, Loki, Season 2, Episode 4, Heart of the TVA. We start at the end of time with Miss Minutes and Renslayer as Miss Minutes shows Renslayer a vision.
Oh, shit.
A vision from the future or past.
Past. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably different timeline.
Right.
No,
Regardless.
that's no. Okay, that was her life, as they were building the TVA together.
So technically, it's the past.
Like when she went back. Yeah, I guess it technically is the past. Yeah. So like they built up the TVA together, her and He Who Remains, and then once it was built and everything was, the war was won. He wiped everybody's fucking memory.
Yes.
It's fucking crazy.
Correct.
That is nuts.
Despite the fact that she did a lot of work commanding.
She won the war.
Yeah.
She was the George Washington of the whole revolution.
Yeah. Yep. Regardless, it's of He Who Remains and Renslayer, and they're essentially setting up a utopia at the end of time. And after He Who Remains mentions leading with Renslayer, he has Miss Minutes erase her memory, as you just mentioned. Renslayer comes to the conclusion that she basically did all the work to get him to the throne, and now Miss Minutes is proposing that they never needed He Who Remains after all. Which, pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he already ditched you. He Who Remains is dead, and Victor Timely said, deuces. So he ain't got no other options.
Yikes.
She shouldn't have did all that weird shit. Why didn't you ever make me a body?
Speaking of Victor Timely, he shows up at the TVA and he is absolutely shook. Hunter B-15 and Loki and Mobius show up and want to get to work on the loom. Sylvie shows up presumably after Sparta kicking Renslayer. Timely demands that he has a say on what happens with him, since it seems that everybody wants him, including Renslayer and Miss Minutes, and then obviously everybody at the TVA. Hunter B-15 speaks with the one judge she was able to get through to a couple episodes ago, the one who seemed reasonable, not Docs, but they're speaking about Docs. B-15 doesn't really know what to do with her, but the judge seems to think that B-15 can be pretty persuasive when it comes to doing what's right.
I'm not going to lie, when they started this whole dialogue, this little side plot line thing, I was getting annoyed. I was like, look, bro, can we get back to Loki and Mobius and them and Victor Timely? Like, I don't have time for this. You want B-15 to be involved in some shit? Get her involved in this problem that they got with the loom.
Yeah.
Jesus, this thing is all in my mouth.
So is this thing, but...
But it plays a role down the way. Sidebar. We was watching Loki today. It had like maybe 5 or 6 ad breaks.
Really?
I swear to God.
That's a lot for...
They were
about
like maybe 60 seconds, 45 seconds, something like that. Multiple ad, but like regular Walmart, McDonald's, that kind of shit.
Yeah, no,
in the middle of fucking Loki. Now listen. Loki's very good. I will not continue. I ain't doing that shit. I ain't doing that. Not for the content y'all putting out. Fuck no. Hell no.
Right. I watch mine on mobile too, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Maybe no.
Damn, I watch The Boys straight through. Everything we be watching, any premium style content like this is usually ad free. Now, if y'all just gonna be so greedy, or if the app itself is not profitable enough that you have to scrounge up funds through shit like this, it's very telling about the app in general.
Yes.
But this isn't a Disney Plus review. We can get back to Loki.
For sure. Loki, Mobius, and Sylvie bring Timely to OB, who recognizes Ouroboros as the writer of the TVA
OB? Ouroboros.
Which has initiated a lot of Timely's ideas. However, Obi got his ideas together from the handbook from Timely.
Weird-ass time paradox thing.
Yeah, they describe it as a snake eating its tail.
Like a snake eating its own tail.
Yeah.
Gross.
Ouroboros details a plan to get the loom to work, which includes having somebody go back out there and utilize a multiplier. Only problem is there's more radiation generating from the loom, and the multiplier doesn't work. Timely utilizes his prototype, and it may be exactly what they need. They show Sylvie with a strange look on her face as if she doesn't believe Timely, which I thought was
No,
weird.
she doesn't. She doesn't believe him, and she's skeptical of this whole thing. They'll have a conversation later that reveals all that. But I mean, I don't necessarily blame her because of what she's experienced. It's kind of like trusting the government, right? Like, do you trust the United States government? Could anything, even if you was sitting in the room with the people while I was making the decisions, because you trust that what was being said and done was completely above the board and you had nothing to worry about?
No.
You know? So they are asking her to take a leap of faith.
Sure. Mobius wants to get some pie while OB, Timely, and Casey are working, and Sylvie gets pissed off at the sentiment. Sylvie accuses Mobius of not caring about the branches dying off, especially since he hasn't looked for his original branch.
Mobius kind of got his head in the sand right now. Like, he hasn't even been worried about the fact that any of that shit. Like, damn, I had a whole life. Maybe that's why I like jet skiing so much. What if I was a jet ski instructor or some shit?
Something.
Like, at least just go look, you know?
Yeah.
He was a fucking movie star. Bradley.
Was he originally a movie star, or did he change his life to become a movie star? I don't think I've ever gotten any clarification.
These were grown people that they were bringing into the TVA. So,
yeah,
you know, he was a whole adult before they wiped his memory. So he had a life.
But I thought the way I looked at it is maybe he went back and then changed his life to become that. I don't know.
Maybe he had to because he doesn't know what timeline he's from or where he was taken from.
Could be.
So he just found somewhere that seemed nice and became a movie star.
Yeah. Speaking of Brad, Dox and Brad are locked up together along with some of the other TVA loyalists, I guess we can call them.
Mm-hmm.
After Brad attempts to explain to them that he earned his life so he should get to be an actor, B-15 walks in to try to convert the army to help fight against Renslayer. B-15 leaves, but she believes that she can get them to turn.
Oh, they're going to turn, all right.
Yeah. Sylvie and Loki have a discussion on whether or not the TVA could actually be saved, including whether or not Timely won't just turn into another He Who Remains. Loki suggests that they may have to interfere and keep Timely at bay. This prompted a series of lines that I wasn't crazy about. Sylvie says it's like playing God, and Loki responds with, we are gods, and then walks off.
That was dope. I like that. I like that. And they played the music. Doom, doom, doom. Like, that's the Loki. Like, that when they made this show, that's the type of shit I thought we was going to be getting. And then we got a little bit of it in the beginning of the first season. And then we took a long-ass break. And then now, this season, he's kind of been doing stuff. The fact that what happened by the end of this episode takes this shit to kind of like another degree.
Yeah.
But I like to see, you know, even when he was interrogating Brad and he was using the box machine thing. Right, like, you know, he kind of pushing the limits now. He's pushing the edges a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then what else can you do if you're not able to use your magic?
Yeah,
you know,
true that. Brad is discussing having a backup plan with Dox because he doesn't trust that B-15 won't prune them once it's finished with them. That's when Renslayer enters from a time door with Miss Minutes. She lies and says that B-15 is working for her own interest. Renslayer tells him that anyone that works with her could have a life on the timeline if they want it. Renslayer then effectively kills all of them with that machine, the box machine.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
Very crazy. You killed all of them with that same machine?
Zoom, and she started it small, too. Like, you hear them fucking screaming, and then all the screams just kind of started meshing together in, like, one screech.
And
that
then Miss
shit
Minutes
was
crazy.
She was so fucking...
Yo, that was... Oh, my God, that was nuts.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
And because of that, Brad obviously walks off with Renslayer. I think... First of all, you have no choice. But second of all, after seeing that, yeah, I'd probably do it. After supposedly fixing the multiplier with the prototype, Timely becomes fixated on the hot cocoa machine Mobius brought in some cocoa from.
Once again, excellent directing style in this episode, man. Because, again, I was sitting there like, yo, what are we doing? Why are we wasting time on this? Going to get fucking hot cocoa? Hot cocoa machine? I must see this hot cocoa machine. Yikes. So, like, yeah, man, get off the fucking hot cocoa. But, play the role.
Yes, but the thing that I thought was interesting was, in the background, Casey and Obi are concerned with the TemPads not working. So, like, while you're sitting there looking at him going crazy over this Coco, what's really happening is
Miss Menace is setting shit up. She's blocking them out, and they don't realize it until it's too late. Until, dude Brad prunes the agent that was there with Victor Timely and grabs him up.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they was just gonna prune him and send him back to that land.
Yeah. Hunter B-15 comes back to see Docs and company are dead and sees that the TemPad isn't working with Miss Minutes, saying access denied. Timely gets his Coco and offers some to the Hunter that brought him. Somehow, though, Brad sneaks up and prunes bro.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out Loki knows that Renslayer and her new team are still in the TVA. They have Timely, and while he attempts to act like he's happy they're still all right, Renslayer tells him that she will kill him if he doesn't explain where the device is. Miss Minutes prevents Sylvie from going upstairs in the elevator and prevents Loki from getting on at all. When we see Loki later, the scene looks all too familiar. It turns out Loki was the one that pruned himself when he saw Sylvie in that elevator.
Yeah. So I think we predicted that we would see this scene again at some point. I mean, that was very obviously when he was time slipping, but I'm a little bit lost as to how he just sitting there hiding the entire time. I mean, he told us straight up like this is going to make sense. So
yeah,
but also I had completely, by the time that this next thing happens, I had completely forgotten that's a different Loki or the same. I don't even know.
Technically, it's the same Loki, but
is it
though?
Though?
Yeah, I guess because you
ain't see him walk in.
Fucking time.
I didn't even know he was there. I told you this shit was gonna get annoying.
Yikes. The phone next to them rings and it's Obi. After explaining that Miss Minutes is affecting their every move, Obi says he can restart the system. He says the only bad problem is that the security protocols go down, and with that, coincidentally enough, the measures to keep magic out of the TVA will also go down.
Turn it off! Turn that shit off.
Right. One thing that I thought was absolutely hilarious is that when Miss Minutes gets rebooted, she starts to glitch and stutter, to which Timely says mocking isn't necessary. I was like, that's crazy.
Mocking isn't necessary.
Before Miss Minutes goes completely offline, she says, "You'll never be him." And then we get a shot of He Who Remains.
Mm-hmm.
When the system goes out, Renslayer sends Brad to check what's going on. Bro pulls out a pruning tool, but Loki sneaks up on him and demands a rematch. That's when Sylvie yanks him up. And then it turns out that she took him over and pruned Renslayer, and then they free Timely. They get back to the rest of the group at the loom, and to extract his temporal aura, Timely has to put his head in a machine that they hadn't tested. So I would have been skeptical of that shit too. After the blast door is unlocked, Timely stops Loki from going in with the multiplier and says he should do it himself since he knows how it works. However, the second bro gets outside of the blast doors, he just completely disintegrates.
That shit was crazy.
Very crazy. Didn't see that coming at all.
Niggas was like, oh, what happened? Where'd he go? He's a string. He's floating.
That's when we see the loom begin to melt down.
The temporal radiation was too high. Well, maybe y'all should have checked that before he walked his ass out there.
Yeah, facts.
R.I.P. to Victor Timely.
You know? That's when we see the loom begin to melt down, and we see the concerned looks on everyone's faces before
it explodes.
And it explodes.
That shit explodes.
And then absolutely
nothing. That's crazy, y'all. That's crazy, y'all. And, I kind of couldn't help but hear the leak about the Marvels. If you don't want to hear it, you should pretty much just go ahead, click that like button, and move to the next video, because that's the wrap up for the review. But about Monica Rambeau potentially being shot to another universe by the end of this movie, and so that would line up kind of seamlessly with what is happening right now with Loki. If all of time just kind of exploded, that's got to affect that's got to have some multiversal repercussions. It's going to be interesting to see that play out over multiple platforms going forward. Marvel, it seems like they have got a game plan to how they want to move into this phase full force. I see the groundwork. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's going to be about execution. It's all about execution now. You have a plan. You're putting the pieces into place. Just do it right. Don't torpedo yourself with any more wild attempts at B-list characters or with, preachy. What's the generation below us?
Gen V or
Gen V.
Gen Z.
Yeah, or Gen Z. Gen Z.
We're millennials.
Directed.
It's Gen Z afterwards. Yeah.
Gen Z directed stuff. Okay, like it's just not. We ain't got time for that, and I'm not. You have to convince people to get back into the theaters for y'all. You got to make us believe that it's going to matter and that it's going to be good.
Yeah.
So, seems like they have a plan for that. We'll see how it goes. Tell us what you thought about Loki episode 4, season 2. Put it in the comment prompt below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Come back next week for another Loki review.
Absolutely. Make sure you check out our playlist with all of our Loki reviews up to this point, including season 1 and obviously 2. And then make sure that you subscribe. We'll be talking about Loki for the rest of the season.
Where's Negan?